We're supposed to be shooting in Colombia, but we're actually in Puerto Rico. It's as close to Colombia as we can get here in America.
Interestingly enough, my father's Colombian, but the story taking place in Colombia as the background, I had to jump all over it. And Puerto Rico, which is my mother's homeland, to come back after so many years and actually shoot a fun movie like this is super nostalgic.
My family is originally from Puerto Rico, and the last time I was here was when I was 12, and I think I've forgotten how beautiful this island really is.
This definitely is very special for me. I was born in Cuba, which is a communist country. We left Cuba because of communism. So I kind of have, you know, a deeper understanding of the hate that Ramirez can have for the communist revolution, which is taking place in Colombia, because I've experienced that in Cuba.
We came to Puerto Rico because of its terrain, because when we put people in the background, they're not going to look like, you know, they come from Manitoba. People who are asked to speak Spanish in the pictures speak it as their first language. They're not going to offend Spanish-speaking people with bad pronunciation.
3,000 colombianos mueren cada año.
My family's from Cuba. We were from Cuba, and so we come from an understanding and the experience of revolution gone astray, and power struggles and leaders that let power go to their heads. And so whenever I have the opportunity to be involved in a project that has Latin American themes, I'm always very careful to make sure that it's not just a trivializing of very serious situations. And I was very happy that in this case, you know, playing a character that's a real character. I mean, it's a real, you know, these guys have been struggling and dying and putting their lives on the line for years and years. The whole nation has. Even though I don't have any ties to Colombia, I certainly embrace the opportunity to represent.
Más sentido pésame.
You know, being from a Latin background, being Cuban, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to do right by them.
Y la guerra por la paz.
And I think I can do it justice. I hope that the Colombian people feel that way.
Puerto Rico is an incredibly lush and beautiful country.
You have a lot of different geographies, a lot of different landscapes, so it just immediately raises the production value.
We wanted to find locations that were perfect for the scenes, regardless of how far away they were.
Many of these locations were an hour and a quarter drive away from where we were staying.
Here, so far, I think has been the most challenging because of the rain.
It's gonna rain. It's always raining here, somewhere in Puerto Rico. And we shoot right through it.
And, you know, we're way up on a mountaintop that you need basically a goat to ride to get up to it.
A little bit of a scare because everyone was sliding and slipping and sliding. You know, the roads are like this big. You know, it's still, again, you're looking where you are. It's amazing.
Here we are on a military base, which is a closed military base. Roosevelt Roads it's called. And at one time, when it functioned, was the largest military base in the United States.
Some really cool locations on this base. That it's such a large place, and finding all those little nooks and crannies to make it feel like we're in the middle of Colombia.
It's beautiful. It's green everywhere, all types of wildlife.
There, behind the light. Action!
I think the most challenging for all of us was the rainforest.
There's a place called a Junque. It's like untouched, you know, territory where you just feel like Adam and Eve are about to pop out, you know, of the trees and say hi and bless your project.
Now I know why they call it the rainforest.
Of course, it rained and stopped and rained.
You end up slipping and sliding a lot.
Watch your footing and be careful.
The interesting thing with El Yunque, we have our seals crossing a ridge above a waterfall. And below that, we have tourists in bikinis and, and families bathing in the waterfall. So you see these tourists, and then you see the seals walking across the top, acting like they're going out to kill people.
We didn't dress the jungle to look like the jungle. We shot in the jungle. When they land on a river, they land on a river, and it's a river in the middle of the jungle, and it's very inaccessible, and we were knee-deep in mud. But that's what would have happened to the Navy SEALs had they landed in the jungle.
The prison location we went to was, in fact, an old juvenile prison.
That's where the Colombian Special Forces take Kevin and hold him as a hostage.
The real deal, very gritty. You could definitely feel the ghosts in the halls.
It was the most decrepit, foreboding, creepy place I think I've ever been in. At the time, housing 4 homeless people, and that made it even sadder. The only thing that made that kind of happy was that we were able to feed them, give them some money, and help them clean out their place, but I know that's not going to last very long.
I mean, it was like you just wanted to take a bath in Purell at the end.
No art department can come up with that on the fly, not to take away from anybody. And it was such a great fit for this piece. And that's always amazing when you read something and you get a visual of what you hope it will be like, and you show up and it's actually better.
One of the things about Puerto Rico that's really wonderful, Puerto Rico has done a marvelous job in preserving a lot of its heritage and antiquity. I mean, San Juan is the oldest city in the United States. It was built in the early 16th century. It predates anything in New England. But even in the small villages, there's a sense of heritage, pride, and culture.
Just such a variety of feels and places to present in the movie. So it really does, hopefully, it'll feel like you've really traveled a great distance.
No one will go, oh, that's not Colombia, that's Puerto Rico. Even when you know, you're not going to say that.
If you told me it was Colombia, I'd say give me a cup of coffee.